All right.
Okay, so can people in the class hear me? Yeah, okay. Good afternoon, folks. I'm Rajashekhar. I'm from Chennai. So I'm going to talk about code mods. So before starting the talk, so I just want to know how many people heard about code mods? Okay, only one, two, three. Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah. So the idea here is to I'm going to put a new idea into your minds. So at the end of the talk, so you have to be thinking in terms of code mods. Okay, so for doing large scale changes or sweeping changes across your code base, because that's not easy when you have a large code base, right? Okay. So little introduction about me. I work at a company called Freshworks. So so we are into CRM domain. So we are developing CRM SaaS applications. So we have about 9 to 10 products. So we are using technologies like Ember.js, React, and Vue.js also. These are my GitHub and Twitter handles. And I wrote occasionally at a blog called hangaroundtheweb.com about JavaScript and stuff. Okay, and this is an obligatory slide. So we are hiring for Freshworks. So if you are interested, please send your resumes to pradeep.naik@freshworks.com, or you can apply in the online portal. So actually, there is a drive going on right now in Freshworks for Hyderabad. So I just came up from the drive. So that's why it took time for me to reach here. Okay, so okay, so first let's talk about the problems. Okay, so what problems CodeMods is going to solve for us? Okay, so why do we need CodeMods in the very first place? Okay, so we're going to talk about two problems. The first problem is making changes in code. So I think every developer, day in, day out, they'll be making changes in code, right? So that's our primary task. So what are the problems we face with making changes in code? So let's start with a small change, like replace a variable hello with world. So it's a simple function. You declare a variable, let hello equal to world, and inside the function you're calling just console log hello world. Okay. So now you're coming up with the requirement like, hey, I want to change the variable hello to world because the name is hello and the value assigned is world, right? It doesn't match. So I want to change it. It's a very simple change. Okay. So I'm going to take a tool for that. Okay, so you can normally do it in your code editors, right? So Visual Studio, whatever code editors use, you can interactively find and replace. But what happens if you have to find and replace in a lot of files, in a lot of folders? You cannot do it interactively, right? So you have to write some sort of script. Okay, so I normally use set for these talks. So anybody heard about set? Stream editor, right? It's a very old Unix tool. So it does one thing well, just replace. So all you have to give is a regular expression. Search, find this pattern hello and replace it with hello with the input, whatever file. Or if you want to change it in multiple places, you can give the path, right? So I run the script and I got this. So what happened? So my hello got changed in all the places. This is not what we intended, right? So what is happening here? Change within a context. So that is the key, right? So what we really wanted is we wanted to replace only the variable name hello with the world, not just a plain string. So your search and replace or find and replace technology works underneath with the regular expressions. All they deal with is textual representations of your code. It doesn't care where the code is, what context it is, right? But without context, if you are making changes like this, we'll end up, right? So that's where code mods comes into place. Okay, so you code mods help you to make changes with the context and not small scale changes, very large scale changes, right? So you have to be feel confident when you are making change, right? There is no point, right? So once you made a change and if you're not confident about whether it will break in some places or it's have some side effects, there is no point in, right, making the changes. So that's where code mods comes in. So the context here is we need to tell the tool which one is a variable name, which one is a function name, which one is a string literal, right? So that the tool can understand and make the changes according to the context, not just replace the text or a stream of characters. So we need to think in terms of an higher abstraction, not from the textual abstraction, from a very higher abstraction, like how do I make changes for the code with the context, right? So The next part of the problem, so upgrading your code bases. So at a very high level, we upgrade code bases for two reasons. There are two types of upgrades. One, you can upgrade to new language syntax from ES5 to ES6, ES to EX7. You want to use promise based for callbacks, you want to use async, right? Something like those sort of. And then if you are using a library, any library, if you want to upgrade to a newer version, okay, so how can you do it? Okay, so let's talk about the language syntax features here, right? So here, this is a lifecycle hook for mounted for Vue.js components, I guess. So where before ES5 arrow functions came into place, we are doing this slide. So we get the context into a local variable and pass this to the function, because inside a function, this doesn't have any context. So with arrow functions, we don't have to do that, right? So these kind of changes, you cannot simply make with simple regex, find and replace utilities, right? You need something more sophisticated tooling for this. And the next one, so let's say you are migrating from Vue 1.x to 2.0. So the attached callback has been changed to mounted callback, right? So all you have to do is you have to wrap it with the next tick, whatever you're doing inside the attached callback, if you're migrating to 2x versions, right? So these are very sophisticated changes which we cannot do with a simple regex tool or a find and replace in your text editor. So for that only, we are using code mods. So making changes to code is not just about find and replace. It's about removing code, adding code, and you're doing a lot of other things also. You're wrapping things, much more, right? So what is a code mod then? So code mod solves these problems for us. Code mod is a code to rewrite code, or it's a tool to rewrite your code. Okay, so these three things are some caveats with code mod. Okay, I don't say caveats, but you need to keep it in mind. So with code mods, you cannot fully 100% automate your changes, making changes, right? But you can do some partial automation. Let's say if you are migrating your framework to a new version, it will take some, let's say, 3 to 4 months. With code mods, you can do it in 3 to 4 weeks, right? It's a very gain, right? And then you need some sort of human oversight and occasional intervention to check whether the code mods solve all the use cases for you. It addresses all the edge cases, because when writing code mods, you need to, the first step in writing code mods is to consider all the edge cases. Okay, we'll see that a little. And these are the different things code mods can do. You can update your source code to fit your team's coding conventions if you're following a style guide, and if you want to change your code to fit with all the conventions in the style guide, you can use code mods. You can use code mods to make large scale refactoring also in your code base, migrations. So code mods addresses a lot of things. So what we did, or I did after studying code mods, right? So I did two tools. Like I generated documentation from the source code using code mod tooling. I created architectural diagrams from the source code using code mod tooling. But underneath code mod, you have something. So we'll see that. So this is normally how the code transformations will take place. First, you have the input code, and from the input code you create something called the AST. The ASTs are the very basic building blocks of code mods. AST means abstract syntax trees. Okay, we'll see that in detail how ASTs play a major role in code transformations or writing code mods. And then from the AST, you do some manipulations with the abstract syntax tree nodes, and then you get the output code back, the changed code. Okay, so this is the underlying architecture. So what is an AST? So the AST is a tree representation of the abstract syntactic structure of source code. So any language or any scripting language or anything, so if the compiler needs to work on the particular language, it first need to construct into an AST representation. Okay, so because with the source code text representation, it will not have any context, so it might not make any semantic information from your code. So the first step is to create a AST, abstract syntax tree. Okay, so whenever I try to explain AST to some people, so they are often confused. So what I'll do is I'll just say that AST is a DOM. Look, AST is just a DOM. So think about it as a DOM for your code. So we front-end developers always manipulate DOM, right? So for code modifications, you manipulate your ASTs. As simple as that. So and then how compilers create, I think I lost the network here.
indented it. Yeah, I think we created a mistake. You connect to 1 plus 5T if you want.
1 plus
1 plus 5T.
1 second.
Then you connect to guest 80.
Guest.
And I'll do that. Connect to guest 80.
Guest 802, right?
Yeah. Because I'm not supposed to do it. But it's not a meetup without a technical glitch.
Yes.
No, actually, we created a guest login.
I think. So we have to enter this.
Let's just use mine. Okay. Sorry.
So yeah. So we are here, and yeah. So this is how the compilers create your abstract syntax trees. It goes through different stages of parsing and lexical analysis, and then at the end of the syntax analysis stage, you get the AST. So I'll show how it is done. So first, the stage is using the scanner or lexical analysis, where your source code is converted into a stream of tokens. Okay. So all it takes the keywords and identifiers, the punctuation markers, the delimiters, and everything is converted as a token with some meta information, what this token is about. And then the next stage is the syntax analysis stage, where the parser takes the token list and constructs an abstract syntax tree, or AST. Okay. So as you see in the abstract syntax tree, we have a standard convention, like it starts with the program, and then the program body, and then we have a function declaration. So see here, so we are declaring a function here, right? So that is a function declaration. And inside the function declaration, you have a name and the block statement, which is the body of the function. So inside the body, we are just calling an expression and call expression, member expression. We'll go into detail into this with the tool, okay? So this is the AST for the code. And usually ASTs are represented in any key value format. You can use YAML. And generally for JavaScript, it is represented as a JSON object. Okay, so see program, function declaration and stuff. So this is the tool to use or to visualize your ASTs from your code. It is also helps in writing code mods. Okay, so I'll show a quick walkthrough of the tool, what it does. Say JavaScript. Yeah. So on the right side, you're seeing the source code, and on the left side, you're seeing the abstract syntax tree representation. I'll just clear everything confusing. Let's say function hello. Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, right? Okay, so this is a function declaration. So let's inspect the AST here. So it starts with the file and program, and inside the program body, so you have the function declaration node. So everything is a node in a tree, and then the identifier contains information about the name of the function. Right here you see the name hello, and the body contains a block statement. So this is called a block statement in JavaScript spec. Okay, so the body contains a block statement, and inside the block statement is called an expression statement, and expression is a call expression. You're calling a function, you're invoking a function. Okay, so and you have the callee and the arguments and stuff, everything. Okay, so this AST Explorer tool is created by Facebook. The guys at Facebook, faced a challenge, like they want to upgrade their legacy code bases, like PHP code bases or React code bases to new language syntaxes. They wanted a tool to make sweeping changes across the code. So they come up with this AST Explorer. A guy called Felix Kling wrote this tool. Okay, so this tool doesn't work alone. It needs the language parsers and transforming tools. Okay, so if you are using JavaScript language, so you need parsers like this. So JavaScript has got a lot of parsing tools like Babel. You might have guys know Babel, right? So Babel, Babylon, Esprima, Recast. So the default parser used here is the Recast parser. It's written by some guy called Benjamin Newman. He's also from Facebook. So the Recast parser, what it does is, it's an actually and AST to AST transformer. So it takes one AST tree, you apply some transformation on that AST tree, you get back the new tree and generate source code from the tree. Okay, so I'll go through that in detail. Okay, so we saw AST, how it is created, right? So where it is used, so pretty much everywhere in JavaScript tooling. So without ASTs, the JavaScript tooling is very impossible, right? So it works on syntax highlighting, code completion, static analysis. Your ESLint makes use of ASTs, code coverage, compilation, everything. So pretty much every JavaScript tool on there uses AST underneath. It all works with the AST. And then how Codemods comes into this picture. So previously we saw code AST to code, right? That is how the Codemods work. So here we are seeing the tools used for the different stages. Like the recast tool is used in the parsing and printing stage, and JS code shift is used in the transform stage. So what recast does is it parses your source code, convert them to AST, give it to JS code shift, and JS code shift transform the AST tree, and then recast take back that AST tree and print it to the source code. Okay, so if you have a parser which supports these type of operations for your language, it doesn't need to be JavaScript. You can apply this thing to any language. So recently I've been trying to write code mods for Ruby also. So Ruby, the code mod tooling is not that advanced. So I need to build a lot of stuff around that. So you can, so the simple idea is, if any parser supports this parsing and generate and transform APIs, you can pretty much write code mods for that particular language or tool. So Babel has also got some same APIs. It is called parse, transform, and generate. Instead of print, it is called generate in Babel. You can check it out. So JS Code Shift. So JS Code Shift is the actual tool which runs your transforms. It's a code mod toolkit. It's created by Facebook. So underneath JS Code Shift, there are two things, which is called the runner and the wrapper. So the runner is basically a CLI, command line interface tool, to run your transforms against a list of paths or files. Okay, and then the recast wrapper. So previously I mentioned recast library, right? So JS CodeShift has got some wrappers around recast to make some tree modifications or tree node manipulations. Like if you want to create a node, if you want to find a node, delete a node, you can all do with the wrapper API, right? So I'll show how to use the wrapper API shortly. So and then underneath recast are the other two things, which is called the Esprima and the AST types. So the Esprima is the standard JavaScript spec for generating abstract syntax trees. So it is based on the Mozilla SpiderMonkey API or parser API, I guess. So this is the standard spec for AST in JavaScript. So any library or any tool which deals with AST should follow the Esprima tree spec. Okay, so that's where we saw the tree, right? Starting from file, program, body, and those node types, different node types. And AST types is a builder, node builder. So it gives APIs for building different type of nodes. You can construct function nodes, you can construct literal nodes, you can construct identifiers, right? So this is how it works. First stage is the source code to AST, and then you manipulate the AST, and then AST to source code. So first the parsing stage, and then the AST is created at the end of the parsing stage. You find the nodes which you want to manipulate. And then you can either create nodes or update the nodes, and then print back the AST back to source code. So this is how the different tools comes into picture. Your recast is responsible for doing parse and print, and your JS code shift is for finding, creating, updating nodes. So this is the side-to-side comparison. And then so previously I used an analogy, like AST is the DOM, and then JS code shift is the jQuery. As simple as that. If you understand this, Codemods is very easy for you. So this is how it works, like recast. So first you require the request library, you read the source file, code.js, and then you parse it, you'll get the AST, and you apply the transform function to that AST, and you print the AST, you get the output. Okay, so this transform function we are talking about is this one. This has come from the JS code shift. So where you are using the JS code shift API to get the source, and you are finding all the variable declarators here. So what this code mod does is, This replaces every occurrence of variable foo with bar. So find variable declaration, rename to bar to source. Okay, so to source means you are printing back to the source code format from AST. Okay, so let's write a code mod. So how much time you have, Praveen?
10 more minutes.
10 more minutes. Okay. Okay, so I'll take this simple example. So what you have to do is you have to open up the AST Explorer and input the code which you want to transform, and you have to select the appropriate parser, transform parser here. So the default will be JS Code Shift. I'm using that. So this is the code mod for reversing the identifiers. So what here we are doing is we are finding the identifiers. Identifiers since it can be a function name, it can be a variable name, right? And then you are replacing with the new identifier with reversing the name of the identifier. Okay, so that's why you get mangled strings. Hello is reversed and everything. Okay, so let's take a complex example. Vue.js style guide. Yeah, data. Okay, let's take this example from the Vue.js style guide. So what it mentions is like the component data must be a function. It doesn't need to be, I mean, it should not be a object, simple object literal, right? So let's take this one, copy. Okay, so now first let's inspect the AST. What we got here, so we got an expression statement. Inside it is a call expression. We are calling view.component. Okay, that expression, and the callee is actually a member expression. So in JavaScript, when you say dot something, it becomes a member expression. So which is again having object and the property. So this object is a view and property is a component. Okay, so on inside it, the arguments, we have two arguments. One is a literal, string literal, and the other arguments is an object expression. Okay, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to replace this thing into this because this is a good convention, right? So let's also inspect this one. So how we are going to change the node? Okay, so the only difference here is this data property. Here it's having a value as object expression. Here it's having a value as function expression. So that is the only difference. So as you can see here, this is the first one, this is the second one. The arguments, object, properties, property. See, the value is a function expression here. Okay, so whereas in the previous one, the arguments, object expression, property, and the property is an object expression here. You see the difference, right? So what you are going to do is we are going to take this one and then you have to replace it one. So first let me find the, so this is a property, right? So you can directly find the type of node. So instead of identifier, so let's delete this one. So let's find all the call expression because this is what we are going to find, right? View.component. So and then you can give some query params here, like inside a call expression, what kind of call expression it is. Like it's a member expression, right? So as you can see here, the callee is a member expression. So I'll say my callee is of this type, and then it contains an object, and the object is an identifier, right? And with a name view. So I'll say name, and then my property name is component. Okay, so I got the node, I guess. So let's check whether it is working. So what I will usually do is I'll just remove it, try to check whether it's working or not. We find the right node or not. Usually I'll do this. So for each, okay, say path, and then we got the node. Okay, so now what you're going to do is we're going to take the arguments, right? So path dot value dot arguments 1. So the second argument. So the arguments is basically an array here. Yeah, see the array. Okay, so I need to take the second thing, right? That is an object expression. So this is my data. Okay, so I'm going to replace this with a new function object, right? Okay, maybe I got a very sophisticated use case, I guess. Okay. When you get too excited, you okay. So this is an object expression. So data. Okay, let's check data.value. So what we are getting? Expect element. Console is very small, I guess, right? So arguments is an object expression. Okay. So in order to write code mods easier, so I built another tool. So where you can give the code to generate the expression. Okay. So I'll make use of that for now because this seems very daunting task to me. Okay, not because okay. So okay, what you need to do is you have to paste it here, the code, and it will tell how you need to create that expression with JS code. Is it visible? Okay. No, right? So how you can create this expression? Okay. So what I need to do is I am having the call expression building here, so I need to just replace it with. So what we'll do is we'll find the call expression. Okay, and we'll say dot replace with sp. Okay, now I need this new expression, right? So this is the new one and the old one. So I'll just like again put it here. Okay, so this gives me a nice builder API for the nodes. So I'll just copy from here to here. Because it is wrapped inside an expression statement, we don't necessarily need to replace the expression statement. We just need to replace the expression. So I'll just take it from here and put it here and say return. Oops. Is it working? Are you guys able to see the difference? The first one call expression has been changed to a function, right? The component data is a function. It's not an object. So like this, right? Cool. We have written a code mod. Okay. Yeah, with the two, yes. It's like easy one, but when you start on the path, only it gets very interesting, I would say. Okay.
Just 2 more minutes.
Okay. I'll just going to wrap up. So these are some reference videos you can watch to learn more about code mods and AST tooling. Okay, and then these are some blog posts. I'll share the slides after the presentation. And this is a code mod tooling. So we got AST Explorer and JS Code Shift. So when you want to use this particular code snippet, so we have this, right? So this is the code mod file actually. Okay, all you have to do is copy paste, put it in a JS file. Okay, say JS Code Shift -t this file and your path. So everything in that particular file path, if you have a code like this, will get transformed to this. Okay, it's as simple as that. Running the code mod. Okay, and then yeah, that is pretty much done, I guess. So if you want to know more about code mods for Vue, so there is one code mod package called written by Sergio Crisostomo called Vue Code Mods. So where he takes a single file component. So usually what I shown you is just a JavaScript file, right? But in basically Vue, you can also create single file components .vue. So if you want to parse it and get the JavaScript part and make some transformations, I think this code mods will help you a lot to learn or reference. So what are the takeaways? The first one is, so build transformation tools that we can be confident in while making changes. So that is the first takeaway. And the second one is, so tool assisted code modification is going to change how you maintain your code base. So you don't have to rewrite every time. So the normal tendency in when you're doing large migrations is, hey, can we rewrite this from scratch instead of doing the upgrades, right? So you don't have to do it anymore with tooling like this. That's all from me. Thank you. So any questions? I think time is.
You are on time.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, guys. So any questions?
I have one quick question. As you said, it works on single files and JavaScript as well, right? I'm assuming that it will work on a project with multiple files.
Yes, you can pretty much do it. So I'll show.
That single file is something that library does.
Yes. Okay, so if you take the JS Code Shift tool, are you able to see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take this example. So all you have to do is JS Code Shift -T. My transforms is like the list of transforms you're having in a folder or a file. And then you apply it to a file A, file B or something like that. Or you can also give path here, your folder paths, multiple folder paths. So JS Code Shift is intelligent enough to take and parse. So the one good thing about JS Code Shift tooling is it can spawn multiple processes if you have a large number of files. You can read the cores in your CPU and spawn that many processes and do transformations very quickly. So that is why JS Code Shift is the de facto tool for running code mods, transforms.
I have one question. Somebody mentioned that they are migrating their project from Angular 1.x to Vue, I guess, right? So can they make use of code mods in their case? For example, converting an if statement in Angular 1 to a VIF in Vue files.
Yeah, if you know the syntax and semantics of how the ASTs look for both these cases, you can very well do it. At the end of the day, all code mods do is work with your ASTs. It doesn't need to be any framework or library or language. You can apply this to any, as I said earlier, right? I'm trying to write code mods for Ruby on Rails. So we have a large app in Rails 3.2, very large app. So we are trying to migrate to Rails 4. So I'm in the process of writing code mods and tooling around that. Anything else?
It does not work on SES, CS or CSS. Right?
Any language. See, if you take AST Explorer, okay, so you can see the list of languages here, right? CSS is also there. Every language has got the transformation plugins. So if you don't find anything, you can very well add by creating PRs. So actually, there is also one for Vue. If you can find it in HTML, so go to HTML. So there you can see for Vue. Okay. So you can use the transform tools. So normally Vue is you will be writing code inside HTML, right? So you have to use the HTML parser for the same. So you can use post HTML for that. Post HTML is a HTML parser, just like your post CSS. Have you heard about post CSS, right?
So one thing I wanted to emphasize on is like you might not use code mods directly for doing the sweeping changes that you're talking about across your code, but you might want to start with writing small plugins like a VS Code theme, maybe, or a TextMate theme or Sublime Text theme, and all of those use an XML file or a JSON file where you will see these stuff like member expressions or maybe other pieces. So if you know about those, you can as well just write, well, my member expressions are going to be pink in color, or my variables are going to be red in color, and that's how you start writing a theme for NVS. And if people are interested in writing extensions like those, you might want to know a little more about how ASTs work.
Okay, so thanks for reminding that, Praveen. Actually, we have editor plugins that is using code mods. So you can very well install these plugins and make some refactorings within your editor itself. Right? So, yeah. Thank you.
Thanks so much.